my channel. Today's video is probably one of my most highly requested videos of all time. My Australia videos get like a lot of views like every month, so there's new people watching them and wanting to know more, and I get a lot of comments on those videos and messages on Instagram asking me to just talk more in depth about how I moved here, my experience, just talk more about living in Australia in general. So I'm gonna do it. I finally got around to filming this video, and I really don't blame you for wanting to know more, because I think moving to Australia was one of the best things I've ever done so far in my life. And don't get me wrong, I miss my home, I miss my family, and I love England. I feel like English people learn to hate their own country. Like, we give England such a bad rap, and you don't realise how good it is until you move away. Saying that, Australia is amazing in such a different way, and I really would love to live here for the next few years, who knows. But before we get into it, this video is actually sponsored by Filippo Loretti. So I've mentioned them before in the video, and I'm just going to recap. So today I do have on my Ava gold bracelet. I literally do not take this off, it's my favorite. And I'm also wearing my Juliet ring. And if you didn't catch my other video where I showed you their beautiful watch, this is the Judy watch, and I'm just trying to find somewhere to get it resized so then I can start wearing it. Literally, look how stunning. Filippo Loretti have launched bold and unique pieces inspired by women who break down barriers, value aesthetic, uniqueness, minimalism, and quality. Their jewelry pieces are crafted from the finest materials without the luxury markups, so you can get premium jewelry at an affordable price. They're literally my go-to place for like classic, timeless pieces. As you can see, I love wearing gold accessories, and they just have such a gorgeous collection of gold pieces. I'll leave their website link down below so you can go take a look, but they have given me a discount code, so if you use Yasmin15, you can get 15% off your order, and you can also try it risk-free for 90 days. So if you order something and you're not satisfied, you can return it for free and get your money back. But yeah, again, thank you so much to Filippo Loretti for sponsoring this, but let's get on with the video. So I'm just going to give you a quick summary of my situation. So obviously I moved from the UK to Australia. We first of all moved to Brisbane, and we lived there for a year. The reason we decided to move to Australia was because of my boyfriend's job. He got a job here and I came along with him, which was, again, the best decision I ever made. I actually did find it really hard because I'm such a home body and I'm really family orientated, so I love being around my friends and my family and my pets, and it was a really big move for me. But that aside, I'm really glad I did it. Like, I actually can't imagine still living in the UK. Do I want to go back to live in the UK? Definitely. I would probably want to raise my kids in the UK. But I definitely want to live in Australia during my 20s because I feel like I can just live my best life. It's just an incredible place. What visa are you on? So I came to Australia on a working holiday visa. Obviously things are going to be affected by the pandemic. I'm just going to share my experience when things were normal. I applied for the visa one evening in August, and the same evening I got my visa granted. Like, it was very quick. The visa cost 485 Australian dollars, so that's around 275 pounds, which compared to other visas is pretty cheap. So obviously this was just for 1 year, and if you want to stay in Australia for longer, you can get your second working holiday visa if you go and work like in the country, on the farms. Like, you can pick strawberries. There's like a few different jobs for you to do, like agricultural jobs. I decided not to do it because it didn't make sense for my situation, because we lived in the city, so I didn't really want to go and do farm work because all these jobs are like in the middle of nowhere and you'd have to stay and live there unless you traveled in all the time. That could be like hours away, so it just didn't make sense for me. But you can definitely do that. And then I moved to Melbourne. If you're wondering like where you would want to go, I've only experienced 2 cities, so I'm not the best person to be like, oh, you should go to Perth or you should go to Adelaide. Like, I haven't travelled yet, and once we get through this pandemic I will travel a lot more. But I have experienced Brisbane and Melbourne. Right off the bat, I prefer Melbourne, but there are definitely things about Brisbane that I miss so much. Brisbane is like a tropical climate. I would wake up and be shocked if there was a cloud in the sky. Like, if it was a grey day in Brisbane, I'd be like, what is happening? Even in the winter time, it'll be like 23 degrees, 25 degrees, like during the day. It's cold in the mornings and the evenings, but during the day, you could go out in a t-shirt, do you know what I mean? In winter. Whereas Melbourne is a lot more like an English climate. You literally get like 4 seasons in one day. One day it can be 36 degrees and sunny, the next day 17 degrees raining. Just don't know what to expect. But saying that, the cities themselves, there's just a lot more going on in Melbourne. Like, there just is. In my opinion, it's like taking London and Manchester and just merging them, and that's Melbourne. It's just a bit of a cooler place, I feel. I remember in Brisbane I used to just dress up, like I love dressing up and like making an effort, and I feel like in Brisbane people would look at me and be like, why is she so dressed up? Whereas here I can dress up however I like and it's fine. If you want to go to Australia to be in the heat 24/7, go to Queensland. If you're not too fussed about that, Melbourne is a great place to go. Like, everyone raves about Melbourne, but I don't know, just think about what you'd want to get out of the experience and then decide where you'd want to live. Okay, so I'm just looking at some of the questions and people are asking like how you go about getting a visa and things. Literally go on the immigration website, I'll leave it linked down below, and you can literally find all the information about the different types of visas. You can see which one's suitable for you. It's really easy and straightforward. You can just apply on there. For my working holiday visa, I didn't need like an immigration lawyer, but when I look to get a more serious like permanent visa, I will definitely get a lawyer. Wanting to stay here long term is quite difficult for me to tell you how to go about that, because my scenario is different in that my boyfriend is an Aussie citizen. I can apply for a partner visa with him because he is Australian. If you're here by yourself or you don't have anyone in your family that's Australian, there are a few options. I really don't know the ins and outs, but again, if you just look on the immigration website, you can find out everything. Someone's asked me how much money you should save before coming to Australia. When I applied for the working holiday visa, I needed to have proof of funds. Like, you need to have a little chunk of money in your bank account just to make sure that you can fly home. But off the top of my head, I think I needed to have like 2.5 grand in my account. It was like $5,000. However, I would say save as much as you can before you come. I think the situations are different for everybody. Like, it depends where you're moving to, what you're doing. Like, if you're moving here and you have a job lined up, you obviously won't have to save as much. But if you're moving here and you're going to have to find a job when you're here and you have to find somewhere to live, definitely have some money to fall back on. Try and save a few grand before you come here, because you just never know. You just never know. You might not be able to find a job quickly. You need to put a deposit down on a flat. You need money for transport, food, activities. Like, you don't want to come here and not be able to do anything. But obviously this would be unique to everyone's situation. How did I find my house? We just looked on realestate.com.au. So we were just looking on normal like real estate websites. But if you want shared accommodation, there'll be loads. There'll literally be loads. Just type it in on Google. Is the rent high? Quick answer, yes. I think more so in Melbourne because it is just like a big city. So it's kind of what you expect. It's quite relative. Like, if you're moving here from London, then no, like the rent wouldn't seem that high. But if you're moving here from like Manchester or somewhere else up north where you just get a lot more for your money, you'll probably find that the rent seems a lot higher. I feel like most of the apartments that I saw were done to a really high standard. So like, you're paying more, but it's actually a really nice apartment. Do you prefer the UK or Australia? I literally wouldn't be able to answer. They're just so different. I know a lot of people will be like, oh my god, are you crazy? Like, obviously Australia is the place, and I agree, it is. This is really difficult because there are just things that you never notice about your own country until you move away. The obvious things, right? Australia, the weather is amazing, especially in Queensland. You feel like you're on holiday every day. You just feel, you wake up in the best mood. One thing I did notice, which I really didn't expect, is like, growing up, I always thought of Australia as like a really laid back place. I just imagine everyone being chill. If you think the UK is judgmental in any way, wait till you come to Australia. Don't get me wrong, the people I've met here are lovely. I love everyone I've met here. This is just something I've noticed in general. Like, it's just a bit of a culture, I think. Like, in Australia, there is so much focus on how much money you have, how qualified you are, like how educated you are, what job you have. It's just such a thing. I remember when I first moved, like, I even had a couple of people tell me how uneducated the UK was compared to Australia. And I'm like, I don't think that's true. We are pushed into university. But if you don't go to university, there's no judgment. And then little things that I miss from the UK is just like UK humour, British humour. It's just the best. No one can convince me otherwise. There's just a lot more going on in the UK, I feel, just probably because there's a lot more people. One thing you do notice, obviously you have to take into account that Australia is a huge country with quite a small population. We are so used to just getting everything instantly, really quickly. Like, we just want everything now. And in the UK, I feel like you can just get everything now. Like, even just taking the example of like ordering something online. In the UK, you can get it the next morning or even like the same day. In Australia, everything is slower, which is probably really good for you. Probably breeds good habits, and you just don't expect to get everything instantly. You just find that a lot in different areas of life, like everything's just a bit slower, not as much variety, there's not as much going on. It's just little things like that that you have to kind of like get used to, which aren't a big problem at all. Some people ask me about the insects here. Don't even notice them anymore. When I first moved here, I would literally not sit down on grass, like always check around me to make sure there's nothing there. Now I think I'm just used to it. In Melbourne, I have not seen, touch wood, oh my god, that is not wood, but I have not seen any spiders. I'm living in a flat now, so I'm probably not gonna see any. But I remember in Brisbane, I rarely, but sometimes used to see spiders like in the tree, like big spiders. Here, I literally feel like I'm back in England, like I haven't seen anything. How do you go about finding a job? Okay, so in terms of work, it's really easy to get casual work on a working holiday visa. It's not as easy to get like a part-time, like a proper part-time job, just because you can only work at one place for 6 months and then you have to change. So most employers aren't looking to hire people on working holiday visas, and I struggled with that for a bit. If you're here for travel and you want to get like a backpacker job, like working at a restaurant or like a bar or something like that, there's loads of sites for that. So there's loads of like backpacker sites. So literally go onto Google and type in backpacker jobs and you'll be able to find loads. But if you want more of like a retail job, look on sites like Jora and Seek and just like the general job application sites. I got a job at Zara in the last few months that I lived in Brisbane and I loved it. Someone asked, how did you make friends in Australia? Well, luckily, because I moved here with my partner, I'll be introduced to the girlfriends of the people he works with. So that's a way that I made friends, very luckily. And they've all been very lovely and welcoming. That is one thing about Australia I noticed. Everyone is so welcoming and so happy to like invite you to things, and like I just loved that and really appreciated that. Like when I first moved here, I was so worried about making friends and everyone was so lovely. Another way I met people is through work. So through my job, obviously you'd meet people the same age as you. But I also think there's so many like backpackers here. There's so many people that would just be willing to like make friends. Just go to events. Just look on Facebook and look at events that are happening. Look for groups of like people who are also backpacking and just message people on there and you can make friends that way. Okay, so I really hope this video was helpful for some of you. If you want to know more, please just ask me in the comments below or message me over on Instagram. I'll be happy to make another video explaining anything else. It's just hard to think of everything and like try and cover everything that you need to know. But I'd be happy to answer any more questions. So yeah, just let me know. Remember to subscribe if you haven't already and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Thank you so much again for watching and I'll see you next time. Bye!